So this is a bit more of a technical question, so storage. I know that you're storing data, you guys store data on blockchain. Can you explain how you guys are different from BioAppointment or IPFS? Or if you're or the similarities, or
Yeah, so at a high level, there's a lot of different decentralized data storage protocols. IPFS is one of them. It's probably one of the most popular for people who are doing stuff like NFTs or Web3 projects. It's mostly a way of addressing data. You think of it as like Google.com or Yahoo.com. It's a way of addressing and finding data. So we actually have an IPFS layer, for example. Filecoin is another decentralized storage project. They do it a little differently. They're storing the data more on a blockchain. For our network, we're using blockchain for payments and incentivization, but we have a very different network that actually doesn't store the data directly on a blockchain because there's a lot of trade-offs with doing that in terms of speed and privacy and things like that. So I can definitely get into that more with you. We have an 80-page white paper that goes over that in depth if you're just bored this weekend and want to do some light reading. Yeah, there's a lot of differences between the two, and there's benefits and detriments for each. So I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that and some of the differences.
Thank you.
And the storage team is also back here, so they're happy to answer any questions. And again, if you're a front-end developer or designer, please talk to us. We're hiring. So I think with that, I think I'm over time. I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Also wanted to shout out Storage. They're sponsoring our happy hour afterwards as well. So please, if you want to chat and mingle, and especially if you actually want to have some time to ask people questions and get into some conversations, the happy hour later would be really awesome. And also Storage sponsored our Scholars in Miami. So thank you so much.
I mean, the Blue Scholars keep on winning on the hackathon, so it was an easy decision.
So we are going to proceed with our next two panels, as well as we're going to be having a technical workshop, Define Your Way into Web3. It'll be in room 602. And if you are having trouble finding the room, you can grab one of the scholars up there and wave your hand. He'll help bring you, or Randy can help bring you to the room. So that'll be happening right now. So if you are interested in, again, defining your way into Web3, personally I would be going to that workshop, but I have to be on the panel. So head to the back if you want to go that. Otherwise, stay with us. We have two really amazing back-to-back panels. And then, again, we'll have some mingling, and then we'll be off to happy hour. So up next, I would love to welcome our next panel of speakers. So we have Anne, Christina, Amy, and Chantel. So you guys want to make your way up to the front. Yeah, so just turn your mics on and then maybe turn them off when in between. Test. Amy doesn't need a mic. Oh, sometimes it takes a second. And she loves Web3. We're all about this new age technology, and yet we still can't figure out how to use microphones. I love it. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on our second panel of the day. For those of you who missed our first panel, it was really jam-packed with a lot of really awesome information and very tangible things. And we're hoping that the second panel will be the same, and I know it will because of everyone on the panel. So to start, I would just love, we're just going to go down the line and just introduce yourself a little bit. Let us know who you are, what you do, and also kind of what did you do before Web3? Because I think that Web3 is so new, and we can really forget when we're talking to people. We can be like, wow, we've been here forever. Like, I'll never be like that person. And then you find out that they've been in the space for like a year, a couple of years, and you hear about what they did before, and you really start to conceptualize how it doesn't matter what your background is. There's space for you in the Web3 world. You don't have to be technical as well. And so just kind of, you know, talking a little bit about who you were in your past life, and then what do you do now?
Hello everyone, my name is Andrea. I'm also Creatrix, which is like my artist moniker. I've been an artist my entire life, and before I was in Web3, I was freelancing as a graphic designer and creative director. I consider myself to be a multi-dimensional artist because I refuse to be limited by anything. So my journey in Web3 started in October last year when I minted my first one-of-one NFT, and that holds experience empowered by creative sovereignty and just helped me realize that I can seize the means of production of my own art and just plan the trajectory of where I want to see things going for me. So it was really empowering. And so since then, things have just been kind of escalating, and now I'm full-time in Web3. I work at DeFi Kingdoms, which is a crypto game company, as a graphic designer. And I also contribute to Sunrise Art Club, which is a creative agency and DAO structured organization. I do community and event planning there, and I'm also just still an artist, making NFTs and modeling and doing whatever my passion leads me to. So just that's me in a nutshell. I'm just kind of like, yeah, the whole journey.
Hi everyone, I'm Chantel, and yeah, I say like I'm flying the flag like the very untraditional route into Web3. So a year ago, I wasn't even working in tech. I had no idea what was going on in Web2. So my journey kind of starts. I am a mechanical engineer, and I did that for a few years once I graduated uni. And then in the pandemic, I was like, oh, this is kind of boring, and I kind of want to do something that kind of feeds my spirit. So I looked around, I got really interested in design, and then I was like, well, I can't design, like I'm not a good designer. And then I was like, oh, but I really like design, and I kind of want to understand what drives those decisions. So I was like, I'm a scientist at heart, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go learn about UX research and all of that. And then I did that for a bit. I was like, no, I don't know, I want to do more. I ended up in product management, which is what I do now. So I'm currently a product manager at FinTech, and I manage the front end for my company. But my Web3 journey it also started by buying an NFT actually in December last year. One of my friends is like a blockchain developer, and I was like, yeah, like, buy this NFT, and then I just went down the rabbit hole, and the next thing I knew, I was in Denver as a scholar with her down, and then from there, it's just been this cascade. And I hacked with a really amazing team, and now we are building out a company together. That's what I'm doing.
Hey everyone. Can you hear me? So my name is Christina. So my first job was a software engineer at Wall Street, and I was like, oh, you know, this is great, but you know, it's not fast-paced enough. So then I switched to sales and trading. I'm like, oh my god, this is too fast-paced. So I tried to marry the two, and I found a really big passion within fintech because I think it's both innovative, but also kind of follows a lot of the financial markets. Within that, I found a big passion within crypto because, again, it's just as innovative, it's very fast-paced. I started making TikToks to educate people, you know, about my journey, like how I got into Wall Street or how I made the switch from, you know, an engineering job into finance and just things like that. And it started taking off just because I started focusing a lot more on kind of women in the space, minorities and immigrants. Because whenever I was working, you know, at my first job, there was a lot of people who didn't look like me, who didn't have my background, who didn't empathize with the struggles that I had to go through. So that's kind of my journey into this space. So I started making TikToks, like I think in 2020 when I got bored with the pandemic. And then from there, I've just been able to go to a lot of conferences, be able to speak to other people, and actually help a lot of people who are in college. I think right now a lot of people are confused whether they should stay in college or has anyone heard of Dropout now? Yeah. I think it's hilarious. But you know, as we were saying, like no one's really asking what your background is. No one really cares. Like, did you work at this bank or go to this school? As long as you can do the work and show that, hey, like I'm interested and I'm passionate, there's a lot of opportunity. And I think that's something that we've never seen before because we're taking away those barriers.
right? I feel like I can relate to that. So I was an actuary. My sister proposed for me to start taking this actuary exam right out of high school, and the next thing you know, 10 years have passed. Don't blame me. So I completed my exams, and then I was like, I wanted something more fast-paced. So then I moved into mergers and acquisition in New York City. Nothing can be more fast-paced than that, and that was too fast-paced. And it was during COVID where I had a realization. At that time, we were all going through furloughs, right? The whole world was shut down, and I had an awakening, and I realized that job security is an illusion. And I didn't like the fact that my financial future was based on my employer. So I told myself I wanted to learn how to invest so that if anything happens, if shit hits the fan, I can make my own money. So then I started taking out classes. I met Journey to Wealth. I just loved everything about it. I learned trading, options, crypto. I got my first Bitcoin. I got my first everything, REITs. And then I realized how much I loved it. And I think I've been trading crypto almost about a year at that point, and a friend was visiting in town for a blockchain conference. So this was almost a year ago, and he was like, would you like to go to this happy hour? I'm like, of course! So I actually crashed this happy hour.